Chosen one, stop scrolling right now. Lock your attention on my voice. You did not find this message by accident today. And while the world continues to move in chaos, heaven intercepted your feed today because God finally saw what he had been waiting for in you. What I am about to reveal will change everything. That quiet exhaustion in your bones is real. Sleep cannot fix this kind of fatigue. Rest does not wash away the weight. And every single morning when you wake up, that subtle heaviness is already sitting on your chest before you even open your eyes. You thought you were losing your mind. Let me reframe your reality right now. You are not suffering from clinical depression. You are not falling apart under ordinary stress. You are a demonstrated warrior of light operating in dark territory, and the enemy has been targeting your mind because he knows your preparation is over. Your season of hidden waiting ends today. Type 777 in the comments right now. Align your spirit with this divine appointment. Do not let your mind wander today. And as you lock your attention on these words, heaven is handing you the exact key that will permanently break the cycle of delay in your life. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Think about what happened to you recently. You were pushed to your absolute limit. Someone tested your character in the dark. They expected you to break and choose war, but you walked away in silence because you chose peace when you had every right to destroy their arguments. You chose maturity over useless drama. You thought that silence was a weakness. You thought you failed to defend yourself. You felt foolish for staying quiet. But what you did not know in that moment was that your restraint was the most lethal blow you have ever dealt to the dark forces around you. God pointed at your soul and smiled. You are a sickle breaker for your family. That is why your path is so lonely. You felt like an outsider in your home. And while you spent years trying to fit into rooms that were too small, heaven was separating you from the crowd so you could lead them later. Your isolation was never a punishment. God isolated you to protect your spirit. He removed the noise from your life. He closed doors that seemed good to you. If you had stayed in those toxic environments, their heavy energy would have contaminated the sacred mantle that God was placing upon your shoulders. Heaven cleared the room to keep you safe. Your spirit has been working overtime lately. You wake up feeling tired after sleep. You wake up at 3 in the morning. And while your body tries to rest in the dark, your soul is actively fighting unseen battles and clearing the spiritual atmosphere for your entire household. That is why your body feels so drained. That early waking is not insomnia. It is your prophetic mantle calling you. You are a watchman on the wall. While the rest of the world sleeps peacefully, heaven relies on your prayers to dismantle the subtle traps that the enemy set against your destiny. You are shielding the people you love. You have been the universal problem solver. You carried their heavy burdens for years. You poured out your oil without stopping. And even when your own cup was completely empty, you still found a way to show up for everyone else, while no one showed up for you. That unfair season is officially closing now. God saw every silent tear you shed. He stored your pain in his vessel. He is stepping in as your defender. And the very people who took advantage of your kindness are about to witness a massive shift in your authority as heaven lifts you up publicly. Your trial is becoming your greatest testimony. You are not a regular human suffering. You are a celestial warrior on assignment. You carry a divine mantle of light. And because the darkness fears what you carry, it attempted to convince you that you were weak right before your greatest season of favor arrived. The enemy is terrified of your awakening. Heaven is preparing a shift in your timeline that no human can delay. The doors that were shut in your face will be replaced by gates of favor that no man can close. You survived the wilderness season, and now you are stepping directly into the place of divine fulfillment that was promised to you before time began. You were born for this exact moment. Now I want to pause and hold something before you right now. Over the past few years, something extraordinary was found in research laboratories. Most spiritually sensitive people were never told about this. A small team of neuroscientists in New York discovered something about the human mind that explains why your spirit feels so heavy and foggy lately. They uncovered a physical secret behind spiritual fatigue. They found that your exhaustion is not just spiritual warfare, it is a physical disruption in your receiver. I am going to explain what they found later in this message. Hold this question in your heart. What if the heavy fog you carry is not age or failure, but something divine is restoring what was taken from you? Your mind is about to be completely renewed. Let us step deeper into the truth that heaven wants to establish in your heart today. For months you have been asking why God remained so quiet while you suffered in secret. You prayed until your voice was weak, yet the sky felt like brass above your head. You wondered if you did something wrong to cause the sudden distance, but his silence was never his absence. The world tries to explain your journey through human logic. They tell you that you are unlucky or that you missed your window of opportunity years ago. Society labels your deep sensitivity as a personality flaw or a burden. They urge you to strive harder and force doors open through sheer willpower. But earthly solutions will never heal a spiritual calling. Let me reframe your entire reality right now. You were reading the signs backwards. What felt like rejection from people was divine insulation ordered directly by the Father. What looked like a painful delay was heaven preparing your spirit to hold a massive blessing without breaking under the weight. God was not punishing you because he was protecting your vessel from contamination. Stay with me closely, because what I am sharing next will shatter every lie you believed about yourself. You spent years playing the role of an emotional sponge for everyone in your circle. You absorbed their toxic energy and fixed their problems while abandoning your own needs. And when you ran out of oil, they walked away because they only loved what you provided. God allowed that separation to happen for a reason. He had to clear the room so you could hear his voice without the constant interference of people-pleasing. You could not step into your royal mantle while holding on to relationships that required you to stay small. Heaven stripped away the counterfeits to make space for genuine divine alignment in your life. You are the generational cycle breaker for your family tree. Think about the heavy patterns that plagued your lineage for decades. The poverty, the emotional abuse, and the constant cycles of heartbreak stopped the moment you stepped into the fire. You were chosen to carry this spiritual warfare so that your children and future generations would walk in freedom. That is why the battle over your mind has been so fierce lately. The dark forces saw your potential long before you recognized the authority in your own spirit. They tried to overwhelm your nervous system with constant fatigue, fog, and exhaustion so you would quit right before the finish line. The enemy knew that if you realized who you are in God, his domain over your life would end. Take a deep breath right now and release that heavy burden you were never meant to carry. You do not need to defend your reputation to people committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to force open doors that God locked for your protection. Your only assignment in this season is to stay still, remain obedient, and allow heaven to fight the battles that belong to him. Hold on, because there is more you must understand before we move forward. The world measures success by quick results, noisy displays, and immediate public recognition. But heaven operates on a completely different timeline. In God's kingdom, the deepest preparation always happens in total obscurity before public elevation takes place. You were hidden in his hand for a sacred purpose. Think of David in the lonely wilderness while his brothers were showcased. Think of Moses spending 40 years in the desert before he was called to part the Red Sea. They felt forgotten, isolated, and useless in the eyes of men. Yet every single day spent in that quiet desert was building the spiritual authority required to lead an entire nation into freedom. Your wilderness was your training ground. You are not behind in life. You did not waste your best years in the dark. Every single trial you endured was a divine masterclass designed to sharpen your discernment and build your faith. The tears you cried in the middle of the night were not wasted, because God recorded every single one of them. He is preparing to pay you back with double honor for everything stolen. Do not let your mind wander right now as we step closer to the revelation that unlocks your next chapter. That heavy fog you carry in your mind is starting to lift as the truth sets you free. Your spirit is beginning to recognize that you were never broken or defeated. You were simply held in divine reserve for a time such as this. Your season of hidden waiting is officially over. God finally saw what he had been waiting for in your spirit. He saw a warrior who chose integrity when no one was watching. He saw a soul that extended grace to enemies who deserved judgment. He saw a faithful servant who kept trusting his promise even when physical evidence showed complete drought. You passed the ultimate test of faith, and now heaven is moving on your behalf. Prepare your heart for a massive shift in your atmosphere over the next 72 hours. The divine instructions you need are about to flow into your spirit with absolute clarity. The doors of favor will swing open so fast that your mind will barely comprehend the speed of your restoration. You are stepping out of the wilderness and directly into your promised land today. Look at the ancient scriptures and see the divine pattern playing out in your life today. You stand in the exact footsteps of the prophets and kings who walked before you. When Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and thrown into a pit, he did not understand the divine orchestration behind his suffering. He spent years in prison for a crime he never committed. He felt completely forgotten by everyone he helped in that dark place. Yet every single night spent in that lonely cell was quietly building his inner architecture to manage the wealth of an entire nation. When the appointed hour arrived, Pharaoh did not call for the brothers who betrayed Joseph. Pharaoh called for the man who survived the wilderness. God raised Joseph from the dungeon to the palace in a single day. Take a brief moment right now to hit that like button below. Do not do it for this channel, but do it so this exact message can reach another chosen one who is struggling in silence today. When you hit like, you are sending a physical signal to the universe that heaven is actively working in your life. You are helping us spread this sacred light to the entire remnant. Consider the story of Elijah sitting under the broom tree in complete physical exhaustion after winning a massive spiritual battle. He laid down on the dirt and prayed for his life to end because he felt completely alone in his calling. But God did not rebuke Elijah for his fatigue. God sent an angel with food and water to restore his physical body before giving him his next kingdom assignment. Think about David hiding in cold caves while Saul hunted him like an animal. David was already anointed to be king over Israel, yet he was forced to run for his life in the dark. He had to wait for years while sitting in the shadows before the crown was placed on his head. God was teaching David how to depend on divine strength rather than human power. Human science is finally catching up to spiritual physics. Ancient prophets understood this truth long ago. In 1981, a brilliant researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for his groundbreaking split-brain discoveries. He proved that the human mind was engineered with two distinct hemispheres designed to operate in perfect physical synchronization. When those two halves operate in complete harmony, you enter a state of whole brain activation. In that state, clarity flows effortlessly, fear vanishes instantly, and your creative intuition operates at maximum power while your body remains completely peaceful. But modern lifestyle systematically disrupts this balance from childhood, forcing over 99% of adults to live on a fraction of their capacity. Now, I want to close the loop that has been open since the beginning of our time together today. Earlier, I told you about a team of neuroscientists in New York who found a physical explanation for your heavy fatigue. I waited until this moment to bring this forward, because a solution only matters when you understand the full shape of the problem it solves. You now understand the shape. Your exhaustion was never proof that you were failing God. It was physical evidence that your receiver was operating under intense atmospheric disruption. When your two hemispheres are out of sync, praying feels like shouting at a brass wall, and your intuition becomes clouded by constant doubt. The enemy exploited your physical tiredness to make you question your calling. You are not crazy for feeling like you carry a different frequency. You were built with an inner sensitivity that senses spiritual shifts before they manifest in the physical world. When your brain is operating in harmony, that sensitivity becomes your greatest prophetic weapon. But when your receiver is scrambled by fatigue, that same sensitivity feels like an unbearable burden. The darkness tried to convince you that your spiritual gifts were a curse. They wanted you to believe that your deep empathic nature was a physical sickness. But heaven says today that your sensitivity is the exact instrument chosen to bring healing to your family line. What the enemy intended for evil, God is turning into your greatest advantage. Your gentleness was never a ceiling for your potential. It was the foundation upon which God is building your future authority. You were never meant to be tamed by the opinions of small-minded people. You were meant to be trusted with kingdom power because you demonstrated that you can hold light while surrounded by total darkness. You survived the fire without smelling like smoke. Hold on, because we are reaching the most critical junction of this entire message. Do not let your mind wander for even a second. What I am about to share next will reach places deep inside your soul that you have never been able to put into words. Heaven is preparing to strip away the hidden blocker that kept you trapped in survival mode. The shift is happening right now. Now we arrive at the moment of truth. Stop whatever you are doing and hear this with every fiber of your being. This is the exact revelation that hell tried to keep hidden from you. You thought your biggest obstacle was the people who betrayed you. But I am here to expose the hidden agreement that you signed in the dark while you were weeping in isolation. Let me speak directly to your soul right now. The enemy did not hold you back because he had power over your destiny. You held yourself back because you made a silent contract with limitation. And when trauma broke your heart years ago, you created a survival identity to protect yourself while shrinking your divine light, so small-minded people would not feel threatened around you. You convinced yourself that staying quiet was humility. You told yourself that living in survival mode was God's will for your life. But that was a lie crafted in the dark to keep you from walking in your royal authority. You became so comfortable playing the victim that you forgot you were born a king while allowing their harsh judgments to define your ultimate worth. Listen to me very carefully right now. God did not create you to live in perpetual defense mode. He did not give you that powerful spirit so you could spend your life hiding in the shadows. You were trying to heal the people who were sent to destroy your peace. And every time you shrank yourself to make them comfortable, you were betraying your divine mantle. Here is the exact secret that God saw in you while he waited in silence. 3 nights ago, when you felt completely overwhelmed in the dark, you reached the absolute end of your human strength. And instead of cursing the people who hurt you, you placed your hands over your heart and surrendered your timeline back to the Father. In that quiet moment of surrender, your true identity awakened. God looked down at your spirit and saw a warrior who refused to let darkness contaminate her heart. He saw someone who chose purity when bitterness was the easiest option. And he said, "This soul reminds me why I created humanity," while heaven declared that your season of waiting officially ended today. The enemy saw that shift in the courts of heaven and panicked. He realized that the hidden agreement of self-doubt was officially broken. That is why the attack on your mind became so aggressive lately. And the dark forces threw every distraction at your nervous system because they know that an awakened chosen one is unstoppable. You are no longer bound by the generational curses of your bloodline. The ancestral patterns of poverty and spiritual stagnation end with your obedience today. You were never meant to fit into their traditional boxes, and you were born to shatter those boxes completely while paving a brand new highway of light for those coming behind you. Stand up in your spirit right now and break every false contract. Speak it into the atmosphere that you will no longer apologize for carrying divine power. You will no longer shrink your vision to fit the small minds of people who refuse to grow. The years of carrying their emotional baggage are over while you step out of the furnace fully refined today. Look at what is happening around you right now. The very things that tried to bury you were actually planting you for a massive harvest. The isolation was not a prison sentence. It was the sacred womb where your authority was forged. And you survived the crushing pressure because you are made of kingdom iron, while your season of hidden preparation is permanently closed. Remember the question I asked you near the beginning of our journey today? I spoke about that quiet, heavy pressure in your chest that felt like an unbearable weight. Here is the ultimate truth heaven wants you to receive right now. That heaviness was never an attack on your body. It was the physical weight of your spiritual mantle descending upon your shoulders while heaven declared that you are under anointing. When the anointing falls upon a chosen warrior, the physical body feels the shift before the mind understands it. Your nervous system was recalibrating to hold a higher frequency of glory. The darkness was not defeating you, and the darkness was trembling because the light inside you reached critical mass while you stepped into your authority. Every door that closed in your face was locked by God to save your life. Every person who abandoned you was removed because their frequency could not enter your next dimension. Stop weeping over the graves of dead relationships. Stop looking back at the burning cities you were called to leave behind while your future calls you with urgent clarity today. What I am about to show you next will connect something you felt in your personal experience with something discovered in a research laboratory. That connection is going to explain something about your life that nothing else was ever able to put into words. Stay right here, because the physical bridge to your spiritual breakthrough is unlocking right now. What you have experienced today is a profound turning point in your journey. You were seeking answers for the exhaustion that weighed down your soul for months, and now you see clearly that your spirit was never broken by the trials you endured. Your receiver was simply operating under intense physical disruption. You are not losing your mind. Let us speak plainly about what has been revealed to your heart today. You are a generational cycle breaker, destined to carry light into places that experienced decades of darkness. But when your receiver is jammed by continuous fatigue hearing, the subtle guidance of heaven feels almost impossible. God is restoring your physical vessel to match your spiritual authority. There is something I said near the beginning of our journey that I want to return to now. I asked you to hold a sacred question about what was taken from you and how specifically it can be returned. The answer to that question is where this message is going. The heavy fog you carry has a specific address. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for his split-brain discoveries. He proved that the human mind was engineered with two distinct hemispheres designed to operate in perfect physical synchronization. When those two halves operate in complete harmony, you enter a state of whole brain activation. In that state, clarity flows effortlessly. Over 98% of young children naturally operate in this synchronized state. That is why they learn with speed and create without fear. But modern lifestyle systematically degrades this connection until less than 1 in 1,000 adults retains it. That breakdown is not a character flaw or a spiritual failure. It is a physical reality that can be restored. Consider a woman from California who spent years holding things together for her community while feeling distant inside. She described how, after 10 days of restoring her receiver, a channel that was blocked suddenly opened in her spirit. A man from Texas shared how praying felt like speaking into a thick wall. After 2 weeks of whole brain activation, the dense fog in his mind vanished. You might wonder if $39 is a significant step for your household right now. Dr. Daniel Barone in New York designed this option so that people who could never visit a clinical office could still reach this restoration. An in-home neurofeedback machine runs $7,000 and clinical sessions cost $300 an hour. He removed every middleman to make this accessible. His team spent years compressing an hour of clinical neural sync technology into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. They call it the Genius Switch. It is not a meditation app or a sound designed for temporary relaxation. It is an auditory sequence engineered on Nobel Prize research to reconnect your two hemispheres and restore your natural clarity. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepares both the promise and the mind that must walk into it. It is for the person who has been sincere for years and who is ready to stop treating fog as a personal weakness. Most people will scroll past, but you were brought here for a reason. This protocol was originally released at $49, but on this direct page today you can access it for $39. Dr. Barone included 4 supportive gifts to help remove fog from your routine and restore proper stewardship over your daily habits. You receive a guided visualization, a smart grocery guide, a classic book, and an infographic on 5 core habits. Your access comes with an ironclad money-back guarantee that completely protects your heart. You can listen once or 80 times, and if your receiver is not restored, every single cent returns to you. Every week your receiver remains disrupted is another week walking below your capacity. What heaven arranged for your destiny deserves the full version of your mind. The provision already placed near you becomes visible in the synchronized state in a way it cannot while you remain exhausted. The meeting point for your breakthrough is already set by heaven. The only question is whether you arrive with your receiver online. Do not let the enemy convince you to delay what was scheduled for your elevation today. Please keep one direct warning in mind before you proceed today. Unverified tracks carrying similar titles exist online, but Dr. Barone verified that they contain no neural sync technology. The direct page linked in the description below and in the first pinned comment is the only verified source. You can view every detail on their page before taking your next step. A physical tool does not replace God or surrender your heart for you. A tool simply restores the receiver so that what heaven is pouring into your life can land with total precision. Obedience still belongs to the heart that God is forming in the quiet. The deeper current of your spiritual calling is where we return right now. Place your hand over your heart right now and take a slow, deep breath. Release every lingering anxiety that tried to weigh down your spirit today. You are standing on sacred ground as heaven seals this word permanently into your life. The heavy mantle of survival is falling off your shoulders, while the peace of the Father wraps around your soul like a warm blanket. You are no longer the victim of your hard circumstances or your past mistakes. The season of walking through the dark wilderness in lonely isolation is completely finished. God saw your faithfulness in the quiet moments when no one else was watching, and He is crowning your quiet obedience with public honor today. You are a demonstrated warrior of light. Repeat these powerful words out loud or speak them softly in your heart right now. I declare that every generational curse of poverty, sickness, and spiritual delay in my bloodline dies today. I am the cycle breaker that my family has been praying for across generations. The doors that were locked against my name are swinging open right now by divine decree. Speak this sacred truth into the atmosphere with complete spiritual confidence. I release the heavy burden of trying to heal people who were committed to misunderstanding my heart. I step out of the dark shadows of fear and step fully into the royal authority given to me before time began. My mind is clear, my spirit is restored, and my receiver is online. I declare that the silent tears I shed in secret were stored in heaven as precious seed. Every single blessing that was stolen or delayed by the enemy is returning to my household with double interest. I do not walk in fear of tomorrow because my future is held firmly in the hands of the Most High God. I am worthy, I am chosen, and I am anointed. I claim the divine favor and accelerated fulfillment that was written for my soul before the world began. I refuse to carry the heavy baggage of yesterday into the promise of today. My strength is renewed, my vision is sharpened, and my steps are ordered by heaven. I walk in victory because God goes before me. Feel the sudden spiritual shift in your atmosphere as those sacred declarations register in heaven. The enemy has lost his grip over your thoughts and your destiny forever. Every trap set to keep you in perpetual exhaustion is being completely dismantled right now. The weapon formed against your peace will fail, because God stands as your eternal defender. Heaven is activating a season of unusual favor over your household during the next 72 hours. The answers you prayed for in secret will manifest with sudden clarity and overwhelming divine power. You will see doors open that no human strategy could ever unlock, and you will walk through them with unshakable peace. Your waiting season is officially over. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on all notifications so your spirit stays anchored to heaven. God is not finished speaking to your life, and you cannot afford to miss the divine instructions coming in the days ahead. By subscribing today, you lock your spirit into a tribe of warriors who walk in the exact same royal authority and light. Type Amen, or I receive it in the comments below to seal this sacred declaration into your physical reality right now. When you type those words, you place your physical signature on a covenant made in the courts of heaven. Let your comment stand as a permanent sign to the unseen world that you belong to the Most High. May the deep peace of God, which surpasses all human understanding, guard your heart and your mind today. May His presence go before you like a shield, making the rough places smooth and clearing every obstacle from your path. You are protected under the shadow of His wings, and no weapon of darkness will ever prosper against your holy calling. Walk forward from this moment with your head held high as a true celestial warrior. You were never meant to fit into their small boxes or shrink your vision to make small minds feel comfortable. You carry the prophetic mantle of a breakthrough prophet for your bloodline, and your very presence is designed to shift the atmosphere wherever you walk today. Go forth in power, in divine clarity, and in absolute peace. Your trial has become your greatest testimony, and the darkness that tried to bury you is now terrifyingly afraid of your awakening. You are loved beyond measure, you are seen by heaven, and you are forever chosen. Go and possess the glorious promise that God prepared for you.